What's up, everybody? Brandon here from Gearist. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the GOrun number 5 from Skechers Performance, assuming I can remember how to do this. Despite the fact that Skechers Performance has been playing with the big boys of the running shoe industry for a number of years now, and despite the fact that Meb Keflezghi actually won the Boston Marathon in a pair of Skechers Performance shoes, there are still a lot of people out there who haven't gotten their feet into them even yet to try them. Whether that's because they just haven't had the chance, the opportunity, or what have you, or whether it's because they're just kind of a little on the fence about being seen in a shoe that up until a few years ago was strictly a fashion shoe endorsed by none other than one Miss Kim Kardashian. In fact, our very own run manager here at Gearist.com, Lori, this chick right here, Lori hadn't even run in Skechers herself until she heard my very enthusiastic support of the brand and the shoes and what they've been doing, and she got at them, and so she's doing this review with me. And while she's not here with me on camera, I'm going to be telling you some of her thoughts on this shoe as well. So without any further ado, let's get into it. The first thing we're going to talk about, as always, is the outsole. Now, since launching way back in 2011, if you can remember that, it's been 6 years now, good lord, time is flying, Skechers has been known for their Go Impulse pillars. Now, for the first time, these have given way to a more fleshed out, a little more traditional looking outsole, as we can see right here. Before we talk more about what the GOrun 5 has going for it, let's take a look at some of those Go Impulse pillars here on the GOrun 4 2016. Now, as we can see here, you see these little circles that are all over the place here, and including this area here. These things, especially the green parts, are the Go Impulse pillars, which we are speaking about in this instance. In this case, it's made of these strategically placed rubber bits, and that is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak. And the rest of this is Skechers proprietary Resilite compound, the bits that aren't rubber. This is rubber here, this is rubber here, this is a little heavier Resilite compound, but by and large, this white stuff is all Resilite. As we look at the Skechers GOrun 5, however, we can see that it's entirely been redesigned from the bottom up. There are no more pillars, no more circles, and in fact, there's this webbing that overtakes the entire thing. This parametric webbing, again, this colored webbing that we can see here, this is where rubber is on here. So obviously, rubber plays a much more substantial role than it has in the past. The white that we see here is still Skechers Resilite Gen 5 or 5 Gen that we can see all over the shoe here, and that is the midsole material that we're going to be getting into in a second. From a durability perspective, both Lori and I found this to be quite durable, with each of us having about 35 miles in the shoe, and obviously there's more rubber, so that's probably going to be the case. We saw minimal wear right here. You can see where my primary landing area is right under the first metatarsal-ish, the metatarsal heads. That's primarily where I land. You can see a little bit of wear here in the midfoot because I tend to land forward to a little very flat, full-footed landing. It held up very, very well. We both also found traction to be perfectly fine on pavement, whether it was asphalt or concrete or what have you, and even in wet pavement we found it plenty good. It was just fine. It did a nice job. On snow and ice, nothing to speak of, no traction to speak of, but we wouldn't expect that for something that, as you can see here, there's no cleat or lug system going on in here. This is straight up flat road running shoe. Moving into the midsole of the shoe, this has also had a very significant redesign where now it actually kind of looks just like, a lot like the design of the these New Balance Zante, where you have these convex and concave polygons that litter the side of that and do a lot in terms of like providing a little bit more support here or there, something like that. I'm not sure that that is the case in terms of a support functionality in this shoe, but I do know that that 5 Gen material, which makes up the entirety of the midsole, both Lori and I found to be really, really nice, and we're going to get into that a little bit more in the ride section. For those drop nerds in the crowd, we've got 18 millimeters of stack in the heel, 14 millimeters of stack in the forefoot for a net drop of 4 millimeters. And before we move on to talk about the upper, once again, this midsole material, that Resilite 5 Gen, is a wonderful combination of bounce and cushion. It's really something that's going to give you a lot of response, and one of my favorite parts of this shoe that makes it what it is. We will get into that more in the ride section. Moving into the upper right here, we can see that they have incorporated what we call Go Knit. Now, Skechers has been using that for about a past year or so. Here you can see it in the Skechers GOrun 4 2015. The material that we can see here is definitely taking cues from other woven and engineered meshes that are on the market, which really provide a lot of durability without sacrificing any breathability, and that is certainly a hallmark of this upper. The Go Knit and other engineered mesh mesh like it really allows places of the shoe that need to have a more beefed up mesh, places that are going to handle a lot of stress, like the toe up here, right along the midsole where you've got the lacing system tying down into the midsole. It allows all these places to have a more beefed up version, while places like the vamp that aren't necessarily going to receive a lot of stress, it allows them to be a little more lightweight, a little more breathable, while still maintaining that flexibility and durability that overlies the entire upper. The laces in these guys are held in place by these 3 reinforced with knit gillies, if you will. Now, in the past I've seen, and here I'll show you on the GOrun 4, they've built that right into the upper, so I'm not exactly sure why this is done, because these seem to hold up very well for me. The durability was not a problem, but these are reinforced from the backside just like these are. So it's a very interesting choice, because maybe a little additional material like this is going to add a minuscule amount of weight. I'm not sure. One way or another, it works really well. Now internally, being that this is a single piece of woven mesh, there is a really nice fit and feel, especially for those people out there that might not like to run in socks. I myself pretty much always run in socks, but if you choose to go sockless, this might be a good option for you. There's also a reinforcing band. It's going to be a little difficult to show you, but right here on this side and on the medial side, there is a band of material that's put there to reinforce the upper of the shoe and its connection to the midsole. The air mesh tongue right here is topped by 2 tongue position keeper straps. Topped by 2 tongue position keeper straps, say that 5 times fast. And that is these little black pieces, if I can pull them out, black pieces of elastic, actually right here, that overlay the tongue right there, meant, obviously as the name would suggest, to keep the tongue in place. However, since these little pieces of elastic are attached to the throat, if you will, to this part of the shoe as opposed to being attached to the tongue, I'm not exactly sure how that's meant to take place, how that's meant to be effective. I didn't really feel any tongue slide on this, and maybe they're doing their thing and I just didn't notice. It's very interesting, and I just wonder if it's an unnecessary piece of engineering. The heel counter back here is nicely shaped, but very, very flexible, which is really nice. I really like that in all the previous versions of this shoe, and it stays on here. And if you recall the quick fit, which we saw here in the GOrun 4, we've seen it in a couple other shoes before that, it remains in this, but it's a little adapted to being something that's a little more traditional of a heel pull tab, where you can see there's no longer a cutout built into the heel counter of the shoe. Rather, there's this microfiber / faux leather piece of material right here that has a pull tab on it. I don't personally use heel pull tabs very much myself, but I will say that Lori mentioned that here and there she would notice this kind of brushing her Achilles. Not to the point of being uncomfortable or providing her with any discomfort, but it was something that was noticeable. To me, the upper of this shoe is really a fantastic application of engineered mesh, and while some of the stretch of other meshes on the market isn't really there, this is still a really great idea that really incorporates a lot of durability as well as that support and breathability. The fit of the Skechers GOrun 5 is pretty simple and straightforward. Both Lori and I really like that fact. You're not sitting there having to futz with it and move it around, and part of that has to do with this mesh that we just talked about in the upper. For all intents and purposes, it remains largely unchanged from the Skechers GOrun 4 2016, but one of the things that I notice is that while this seems to fit more closely to the foot without being constricting, I will add, it seems and feels more open and airy, and I think that that has more to do with the mesh, because this being the second generation of shoes that's using the Go Knit, where the GOrun 4 2016 being the first iteration of that, I think it's a little more mature, a little more fleshed out. It feels really nice on the foot. And in case you're wondering, both for Lori and myself, this fit true to size right out of the box. As I have said with pretty much all other Skechers that I've tried in the past, I really love the Resilite material that they use in this, and the ride is exactly where that shows the most. In fact, this being Lori's first experience in this shoe, she was absolutely blown away. She called me on the phone, she was like, oh my god, this is insane. She just loves that bounce plus cushion combination. Now that cushion is something that if you're looking for a cushy shoe, you're gonna find a lot of cushion in this. Now if you can't find the amount of cushion that you want, there are other shoes kind of up the line or down the line, depending on which way you look at it, that are gonna be able to provide more cushion for you. Likewise, it's also gonna give you a firmer ride where you're gonna be able to feel that ground, and if you're looking for something a little more firm, they also have that in the Skechers line with something like the GOrun Meb Speed or or whatever it is, a Go Meb Speed, and shoes like that, they're going to be a little more firm for you. But by and large, this is a shoe that plays a nice kind of middle ground among all those things. It's also worth mentioning that in my size 11, this has dropped like a quarter of an ounce down to an even 8 ounces in a size 11. As I mentioned a second ago, the ground feel in this is great, but the foam doesn't make it hyper sensitive. And that bounce is what really stood out to both Lori and I. While it's going to give you that response, and I think that's where that really even line between cushioned and firm and responsive walks with this shoe. Now, as I mentioned a couple times in this review, this was Lori's first time in a pair of Skechers, and despite my warning her against it, she did go in with a little bit of trepidation. However, once she got going, she was completely blown away, and this has wound up being one of her favorite shoes that she's run on the road in here recently. For myself, I found this shoe to be really great. I love the design enhancements, and I really think that that bump in durability of the outsole by adding additional rubber is something that is once again going to appeal to more budget-conscious runners out there, and pretty much all runners are budget-conscious. So this is something that's going to appeal to them by adding a little bit of durability in the mileage they're going to get out of a shoe. Speaking of budget-conscious, this shoe comes in at $100, which is a really great price for what you're getting. However, if you check down in the comments section below, or if you're on Gearist.com, check those links down below, and you want to help support Gearist, we found it for as low as $70 in some of those links. So be sure to click through and buy through those. It would really help us out, and you're going to be getting a good deal. For a trainer / racer, this shoe really ticks all the boxes. It's a shoe that can go fast or just simply go out and do some cruiser miles for you in a nice, easy recovery day. And finally, once again, guys, if you've just been hesitant for whatever reason, or you haven't had a chance, go to your local run shop where you can find Skechers Performance shoes and just go for a jog around the store. I really think that you will like what you see. Now, before we get into our question of the day, guys, I wanted to take a second to personally thank each and every one of you who is a subscriber or just a regular viewer of our channel, and your support that you showed by missing us and telling us where, saying, where have you guys been, and we really miss you. That means so much to hear. Now, as a part of protocol from here on out, we are going to be a little more upfront about just telling you guys straight up, we need your support. Now, you can do that in any number of ways. The biggest way that you can do that is by sharing our videos and subscribing to our channel and our website, for that matter. Please visit Gearist.com. The second way is by using all the buy links that you see down in the description of this video or on Gearist.com. Any of those, you might see an Amazon banner. Click through that. It'll take you right on over there. All of these things help Gearist to keep going, keep bringing you guys really solid content. We've got a lot of big plans coming up this year, including Inner Bike, including the running event, including Outdoor Retailer, including SIA. All these things are coming up, and we need your support to help us bring those things to you guys. As always, if you're here in Colorado or pretty much anywhere around the country where you know our runners or our hikers or our skiers or our bikers are, let us know. We'd love to hook you up with a Gearist crew person who might want to go out and hang out with you. You come here in Colorado, I'll be happy to take you for a run, hike, bike, whatever. We can get it done. Now, our question of the day is, what do you want to see more of from Gearist? Do you want to see more of our reviews like this, which you're going to see anyway, or do you want to see more content that are like our Gearist dailies or Gearist questions or tips and tricks? Like we've got a series on animal encounters coming up. What do you want to see more of? Please let us know down in the comments section below. That would mean the world to us. As always, guys, please visit Gearist.com. Check us out on all the socials, which you see right here on my right, your left. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.